a pharmaceutical company, is being bought by a foreign company, and they're leaving. And why are they doing that? It's not because America isn't a great country. It's because we have a tax code that's one of the most expensive in the world. We are inviting people to leave.
All right, what they're talking about is the Pfizer-Allergan deal. It's a huge deal in the drug arena, about $155, $160 billion, about how you value it. Suffice to say, it's the biggest deal by far this year and continues the record-setting pace of deals. But you got to ask yourself, what would behoove a company as big as Pfizer to reincorporate essentially in Ireland, a lot smaller place? Are they unpatriotic, as essentially Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have all but said, and now in Hillary Clinton's case they want big penalties and proposals to stop this sort of thing? Or are they just studying the math? These are companies that have to look at their bottom line, their shareholders' interest, and jobs, remember that. And what the CEO is saying apparently at Pfizer is, if you force me to stay here with these higher rates, I'm at a competitive disadvantage. Ergo, a lot of people could lose jobs anyway. So is that patriotic? The read now from Steve Cortez and Gary B. Smith. Gary, what do you think of that argument and whether it holds the day?
Well, I think, Neil, it's very simple. The tax code, as written, kind of wants to point you in certain directions. It kind of tells you it's better to buy a house than rent. It's better to be married than single. It's good to give to charity. And in the case of corporate taxes, it's very clearly telling Pfizer to say it's better to incorporate elsewhere. All they're doing is following what the tax code, as written by our representatives, tells you to do. I don't see there's anything unpatriotic about that at all.
All right, Steve, flip it around, though. A lot of people are saying they're finding a very clever way, these two companies, around this by even avoiding the inversion debate itself. In this case, having the smaller player, Allergan, being the one to buy Pfizer. We all know that's simply clever accounting here, to dodge this whole inversion thing. But is it just fueling the debate that these companies are playing it too cute for words?
Well, Neil, they are in a way, yes. And listen, lawyers and investment bankers, I will guarantee, had a very busy weekend figuring out exactly how to structure this. But, and to Gary's point, the tax code is what invites this and almost demands it. And when you talk about patriotism, by the way, the American Revolution was predicated on taxes that were too high. So how can we fault to tell corporate executives, by the way, that you should stay here just because you should and suffer with higher taxes and be disadvantaged versus global competitors? That's like telling a fraternity kid, you know what, you should come to book club even though right next door there's a raging kegger with a lot of pretty girls. It's not going to happen. We have to reform our tax code and lower our rates.
Book club. I was in book. You mean there was a raging... Anyway, Gary, the thing that comes up, and he raises an excellent point, this notion that Washington is too busy pointing the fingers at companies that take advantage of these gaps in rates and not addressing that right now here. They won't be tempted if corporate tax rates are lowered here. They'll stay here. They have every reason to stay here. It's a matter of survival and jobs, and I don't think anyone in Washington gets that.
Yeah, I think it's simple. Just lower the corporate tax rate. But you know what, Neil, Washington wants it both ways. They want to extract as much revenue out of these companies as they can with the highest corporate tax rate in amongst developed countries, and yet we don't want them to leave. I think it's simple. Just lower the tax rate. The companies like the Pfizer and Allergans will stay here. We'll probably have better job growth. It's very simple, but it's always been the left's way to try to put the clamps, more government regulation.
Or deflect. In other words, deflect. Get the attention away from what they're screwing up and focus on what these companies are doing. But Steve, the question then becomes, these companies are going to be dragged through the mud to justify this, and it's going to come at a time when there's debate over drug pricing and whether these guys are thieves, not these particular companies. You know how this debate goes. And actually, this is going to feed that beast, and it's going to get ugly. What do you think the fallout will be?
No, and listen, that's, to me, one of the most interesting parts here. I'm sure that the CFO, this was a very easy decision, right, for them to incorporate in Ireland. But for the marketing and PR folks, they said, oh, gosh, we're going to have a rough day. And here we are talking about it, right? So it's a cost-benefit analysis. I think in the end, though, listen, every American owes a patriotic duty to this country because we have been so blessed to be born here or to be naturalized here. Companies have an obligation to their shareholders, not to patriotism. And so I think in the end, Pfizer is doing the right thing here and maximizing shareholder value.
And not just for shareholders, as you guys point out, for the workers there. I mean, you're beating up against the wall. Guys, thank you both very, very much.
And time now for the W's, starting with a who. It is Vladimir Putin. The Russian president met with Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei today at a gas exporting conference in Tehran. At the meeting, Khamenei characterized U.S. policy in the Middle East as a threat to both Iran and to Russia and called for closer ties between Tehran and Moscow. Today's what? Big Pharma just got bigger. Pfizer and Allergan are merging, creating the world's largest drug maker. The move is an inversion. The American-based Pfizer is combining some of its assets with the Ireland-headquartered Allergan for tax purposes. Martin O'Malley, Bernie Sanders, and Hillary Clinton have all come out against the move already. And today's when is 1964. That is when first-year Michigan's John Conyers ran for a congressional seat in Michigan. It's the first time he ran for his seat. He will be doing it now for the 27th time next year. The Dean of the House announcing today his re-election bid. And this one looks to be a little bit more organized than his last one in 2014. That is when he fell short of the 1,000 authenticated signatures needed to be named a candidate. It took a federal judge's order to get Conyers' name on the ballot last year. And now to the where. It is Argentina. That is where a conservative leader surged to the presidency. Mauricio Macri's victory in Sunday's election ends 12 years of leftist rule in Argentina. The new president pledges to return the third largest economy in South America to a free market course and reduce the state's role in the economy. Which brings us to another election in the why today. Democrat John Bel Edwards was elected governor of Louisiana on Saturday. He defeated Republican Senator David Vitter by a 12-point margin. Now, Bel Edwards will succeed Bobby Jindal in Baton Rouge, and he is already signaling a departure from some of his predecessor's policies. During his victory speech, he said that expanding Medicaid in Louisiana is, quote, among his highest priorities. Now, as for that why, well, Louisiana has a long history of unique elections. This one was certainly no different. Edwards made the election about character. He highlighted his own military background and compared it to Vitter's 2007 prostitution scandal, as you can see here in Edwards' Prostitutes Over Patriots ad. Now, Vitter did try a Hail Mary last week, attempting to shift the scope of the race to the Syrian refugee crisis, but it